All right, welcome everyone. The work that you are about to do with teenagers in the foster care system, it's some of the most challenging and honestly most important work there is. So today, we're going to build your toolkit, but it might not be what you think. We're not just going to talk about managing behaviors. We're going to talk about how the moments you feel like you're failing are actually your greatest opportunities for connection. Let's get into it. I want this quote to be our North Star for today because it really gets to the heart of what we do. So many foster parents we work with are terrified that one wrong move, one flash of anger, is going to shatter the fragile trust they're trying to build. And our first job, our most important job, is to help them shift that belief. See, the goal isn't to create perfect parents. That's impossible. The goal is to create repairing parents. Because making a repair isn't a sign of failure. It is the single most powerful way to show a child that a relationship is strong enough to handle mistakes and heal from trauma. So to do this work, we have to understand the perfect storm our teens are living through. And it's not just one storm, it's two, colliding at the exact same time. First, you've got the normal, beautiful, absolute chaos of the adolescent brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part that handles impulse control and decision-making, is completely under construction. Emotions are huge, and the brakes, well, their brakes don't always work. Then you layer on top of that the echoes of trauma, which has wired their nervous system for survival, not for connection. This is the reality we're stepping into every single day. Now, every single teenager on the planet is wrestling with this one fundamental question, laid out for us by the psychologist Erik Erikson: who am I? They're supposed to be trying on different hats, testing out values, figuring out their place in the world. But for a teen in foster care, this whole process is so much more complicated. I mean, how do you build a solid sense of self when your past feels broken and your future feels completely up in the air? And this slide right here perfectly captures that conflict. On the left is what they need to be doing for healthy development. They need a safe space to push boundaries and figure things out. But on the right is the reality for so many of our kids: adultification. They had to be the parent to their younger siblings. They had to be the emotional support for a parent who couldn't cope. They were forced to be protectors when they were the ones who needed protecting. They never got to just be kids. So when they finally land in a place where they could be a kid, it can look messy or defiant, but really, it's often a delayed, desperate attempt to find the identity they were never allowed to have in the first place. So how do we start to make sense of their behaviors? You know, the pushing away, the clinginess, the things that feel so confusing. We need a map. And for us, that map is attachment theory. It's the lens that lets us see past the behavior and understand what's really going on in their inner world. At its very core, attachment is the bond that's meant to answer a child's most fundamental question: are you there for me? When that answer is a consistent yes, it creates what we call a secure base. Now, this isn't just a nice, fluffy idea. It's a neurological fact. When a teen's brain feels that safety, they have the confidence to go out into the world, to try things, to make mistakes, to build that identity we were just talking about, because they know deep down they have a safe harbor to return to. Okay, this table, this is your field guide. I really want you to let this sink in, because you will see these patterns play out in every single home you visit. The teen with an anxious avoidant pattern, they learned early that showing any kind of need just leads to rejection. So they'll seem distant, self-reliant, maybe even aloof. The teen with an anxious ambivalent pattern had a caregiver who was really inconsistent. So they might be clingy and desperate for attention one minute, and then angry and pushing you away the next. And for our kids with a disorganized attachment, their caregiver was a source of both comfort and fear. Their behavior will look chaotic and contradictory because they're living in a constant state of fear with no resolution. This isn't about diagnosing them, it's about understanding the roadmap of their relationships. Okay, so we've got the theory down. We have a map. Now, how do we actually use it? Knowing their history is one thing, but we have to give foster parents a framework that actively helps to heal those attachment wounds. And that framework rests on two main pillars: a reflective mindset and an authoritative structure. So the mindset piece is what we call reflective parenting. You might also hear it called mentalization. Honestly, it's a game changer. It is the ability to hit the pause button before you react and just get genuinely curious. It's about looking at a slammed door not as an act of defiance, but as a piece of communication. It's about wondering, what is the feeling underneath that behavior? This is our job, to help parents trade their judgment for curiosity. And this right here, this simple shift in language, is probably the most powerful tool you will ever have. Think about it. The question, "What's wrong with you?" is just dripping with shame. It reinforces a teen's deepest fear that they are fundamentally broken. But when we ask, "I wonder what happened to you," well, that question opens a door. It says, "I see you. I want to understand." It says, "Your behavior makes sense if I understand your story, and I'm here to listen." That reflective mindset then shapes the structure we teach. A lot of the families we work with were raised with an authoritarian style. You know, the one, high demands, but very little warmth. It's all about control, because I said so. And for a teen with attachment trauma, this is absolutely disastrous. It just reinforces their belief that relationships are all about power, not about safety. The authoritative response, on the other hand, holds the boundary, but it holds it with warmth. It protects the connection. It says, we're on the same team here. This is the sweet spot. This is what we're coaching our families to aim for. And listen, this is not permissive parenting. The expectations are high, the rules are clear, but all of that is held inside a relationship of deep warmth, respect, and connection. For a teenager who has only ever known chaos or rigid cold control, this combination of structure and connection, it's literally the definition of safety. It's the environment where their brain can finally calm down enough to start healing. All right, so let's get into the most practical part of today, the actual tools. These are the concrete, teachable skills that you are going to bring into homes to help parents go from just understanding this stuff to actually doing it, especially when things get heated. And here is the first and most important rule. Regulation is a resource. You cannot give a teenager a sense of calm if you don't have any to give. A parent's regulated, calm nervous system is the single most powerful intervention we have. So we always start by teaching the adults how to manage their own stress first. The very first tool we teach is the 10-second pause. It sounds so simple, but I promise you it's revolutionary. In that split second when a teen says something that pushes every button and that parent's own fight or flight response is kicking in, we teach them to just stop, breathe, silently count to 10. That tiny little gap creates just enough space to shift from the reactive, primitive part of the brain to the thinking, reflective part. It's in that space that they can choose curiosity over anger. Now, when a teen is completely flooded, we're talking a full-blown panic attack or rage. You cannot reason with them. Their thinking brain is totally offline. In that moment, the only goal is co-regulation. We teach parents these simple, powerful things. Don't talk. Just be present. Sit nearby. If you can, try to match their breathing and then consciously, slowly deepen your own. Our nervous systems are literally designed to sync up with each other. A calm presence is contagious. And this brings us right back to where we started, the incredible power of repair. Because parents will mess up. They are human. They will yell. They'll get it wrong. And we need to give them a clear, predictable map to find their way back to their kid. This 4-step process, this is that map. It's easy to teach, it's easy to remember, and it really, really works. So what's your role in all this? You're the coach. You're the one who facilitates this repair process. You give both the parent and the teen the words when they're too flooded to find them. For the parent, you help them say, I'm sorry I was overwhelmed, taking responsibility without getting defensive. For the teen, you help them find the words to say what they need. You are literally modeling, in real time, how a healthy relationship navigates conflict. This is where the real magic, the real healing happens. So if there's one thing I want you to take away today, it's this. Our job isn't to chase some impossible standard of perfection. It's to help foster parents and teens build a relationship that is resilient, a relationship that can bend without breaking. Because every single time a parent chooses to repair a disconnect, they're sending a powerful message to their teen. They're saying, our connection is more important than my ego. You are more important than this fight. And that is how we help break cycles of intergenerational trauma. That's how we help them build a new legacy, one repair at a time. Thank you for being here.